What's up, guys? Welcome to another trade breakdown video. Today, we're going to be discussing the Anaheim Ducks, Edmonton Oilers, and Tampa Bay Lightning three-way trade that involves Adam Henrique and Sam Carrick as the central pieces in this deal. So the Ducks trade Adam Henrique 75% retained, Sam Carrick 50% retained, and a 2024 seven-round pick to the Edmonton Oilers for a 2024 first-round pick and a 2025 conditional fifth-round pick. So the Oilers, on their end, they deal a conditional 2026 fourth round pick to the Tampa Bay Lightning to help retain 25% of Henrique. So right below that, it follows with the Edmonton Oilers having their condition attached to the fifth round pick, which is to the fourth round pick, which is if the Edmonton Oilers win the Stanley Cup. This year, the 2025 fifth round pick goes to the Ducks and becomes a 2025 fourth round pick. If the Oilers do not win this 2024 Stanley Cup, the Tampa Bay Lightning get the 2025 fourth round pick instead of the 2026. And then Ty Taylor, who's a goalie that has yet to play an AHL game or NHL game at the age of 24 years old, is a part of this deal as well as a reserve goalie. So just taking a quick look at an Adam Henrique, one of the main pieces in this deal. Well, Adam Henrique, obviously being, part of the rumor mill for the last couple of trade deadlines, finally finds himself traded out of Anaheim. And, he was having a really good season. He was actually +3 on a bottom feeding team, had 18 goals and 24 assists for a total of 42 points in 60 games. He's pretty much been a 40-point player throughout his career. His best season was his second season with the New Jersey Devils in 2011-2012, 51 points in 74 games. But, he's been consistently a productive forward, very good two-way centerman. So offensively and defensively, he's been pretty solid. Drafted in the third round by New Jersey, 82nd overall in 2008, currently 34 years old. And then the other central piece in this deal is Sam Carrick, 32 years old, drafted fifth round and by the Toronto Maple Leafs in 2010, 144th overall, has split most of his time in the AHL and NHL throughout his career. And having a pretty decent season with 11 points in 61 games, 8 goals and 3 assists. Obviously, his plus minus is not the best at -11, but his best season comes in 2021-2022 with the Ducks, 19 points in 64 games, 11 goals and 8 assists. And like I was talking about before, Ty Taylor, the reserve goalie, seven-round pick by the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2018, 214 overall. There's really not big promise with this player ever making it to the AHL or NHL. So, Luca, what are your thoughts essentially on this trade? Do you think these are the right targets for the Edmonton Oilers? Do you see the Edmonton Oilers doing anything else apart from this deal? Do you think the Ducks could have gotten a better deal from another team? Because we do know that the New York Rangers were interested in Henrique and Vetrano. Vetrano is another guy that they're targeting. So, why not, trade with the New York Rangers as opposed to the Edmonton Oilers?
Well, I think it comes by price, right? I think if you look at the Oilers, they traded away their first round pick. They were willing to move that. They were willing to, have a situation in which um, they were going to be able to move their first round pick and really, be able to make this deal and pull this deal off. The Rangers didn't want to do that, right? And so because the Rangers didn't want to do that, they had to look at alternative options that weren't going to allow them to have to move their first round pick, and that's what they did with Alex Wedberg. But just in terms of this Adam Henrique trade, I like it for the Oilers. I think it makes a lot of sense for them. He's a guy with experience. He's a guy who's played in the league for a long time. He's a guy who's played for the Devils and has gone to a playoff push with them in 11-12 when he was there during his first full season with the Devils. This is a guy that I think is deserving of an opportunity to win a Stanley Cup, and he's a guy who can score 20 goals in a season. He's done that multiple times. He's a guy who can provide points for you, get about 50 points for you in a season, and I think he's going to slot in on that third line, maybe even as a winger on the second line, right behind where Matthias Janmark is currently sitting. But it's an interesting move for them. they give up a first round pick, which is going to be a late pick anyways. You acquire you give up a couple of other draft picks, like a fourth and a fifth, and maybe you get yourself a seventh, but you get yourself two very good players. Sam Carrick, he's a guy who can provide some depth. He's a little bit of a nasty player. He's not a guy that's going to allow. He's a guy that you don't want to mess around with. He's got a lot of penalty minutes. He's not afraid to fight. He's not afraid to get in the dirty areas and be, a shit disturber, as people like to call it. And I think he's going to fit in very well on that fourth line with the likes of Derek Ryan, even the likes of, let's say, Dylan Holloway and stuff like that, who I think are going to play big roles for them. And I think he's going to be a part of that. And then you got Adam Henrique, who gets slotted into that third, second line role, right where Janmark is, and it allows more depth. You're playing with Corey Perry. You're likely going to play with a guy like Warren Fogle or maybe a guy like Ryan McLeod. There's definitely a lot of promise for them. He can probably suit in on that power play as well and help out. He was playing on the Ducks top line at one point with McTavish and Vetrano. Split some time a little bit with Leo Carlson as well. So he can play with pretty much anybody, and I think you're going to get production with him no matter what. So I like this for the Ducks as well, just because they acquire themselves a first round pick, which is good. They acquire themselves another asset. They retain 50%, which is great for them as well. Considering the fact that both these guys are UFAs, it's not really a big deal for the Ducks to do that till the end of the season. And yeah, I like it. I don't really have anything negative to say about this. They get Adam Henrique at a very good price of $1.4 million for the rest of the season, and they get Sam Carrick at just under $500,000 at $425. So some good business from Ken Holland, and I actually really think that it was a smart move for him to do that. Now, you asked me before what else I think the Oilers could do. I think they could be in the market for a defenseman. I could see them potentially adding one more piece to the puzzle here on defense, just to kind of bolster it. There was rumors about David Savard before the Henrique trade. I don't know how that's going to happen now, but I do think the Oilers may look at some depth defensemen to kind of move into and maybe see what they can do there. Obviously, there was rumors about Philip Broberg early on in the year about him being moved. Maybe there's a piece there that could work, but I think for the Oilers, it's exactly what they needed to do. They wanted to add depth to their lineup. They add one on forward with Adam Henrique, who's a very good player and is not really considered depth, more like a main piece. And then Sam Carrick, who, like I said, nasty player, can score. I mean, he's got 8 goals this year on a Ducks team that isn't very good. So, he can put the puck in the net if you need him to at some point. So, like I said, very good move. And for the Lightning, I mean, look, they retain some salary. They get themselves a 4th round pick in return for that. Not really a big deal for the Tampa Bay Lightning there. Who just acquire some draft picks for a team that misses some. And Ty Taylor, I mean, they may sign him, they may not. Like you said, he's 24 years old, probably not going to be anything. But you never know with goalies. It could be that guy that in a couple of years we talk about as being potentially a surprise to everybody. But it's still a player nonetheless. It's an asset. So we'll see what happens there with him. But yeah, good move for the Oilers. Good
Yeah,
move for
and
the Lightning as well.
just looking at the Edmonton Oilers and all the surplus of players they have in terms of forwards, like Connor Brown hasn't been working out,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be surprised if they try to move him out before the trade deadline. You're bringing in Henrique and Sam Carrick. You put Sam Gagner on waivers, who
Yep.
it goes unclaimed. So, like, if one of these guys like Derek Ryan or Connor Brown get put on waivers and they go through to the AHL, they're going to have a lot of depth in terms of their bottom 6 moving into the playoffs. And they could always call these guys up at any point. So what I like about this is that, for years, so many people were saying, Edmonton doesn't have any depth in the bottom 6 and this and that. And now they do that, with Matthias Janmark potentially, going down to the bottom 6. So one of those players like Connor Brown or Derek Ryan coming out to make room for Henrique and Carrick. There's a lot of moving pieces here. And, obviously, they could, send some players down to waivers, or they could trade them and try to get assets for them. But also, in terms of what you were mentioning before, in terms of trying to add another defenseman, we heard a lot of news in terms of Cody Ceci and Brett Kulak being 2 guys that they would want to ship out, because the Edmonton Oilers don't have that much cap space. So like it's you know if money's coming in, money's gonna have to come out too. So like for me, if they're gonna make another move, I think they will add a defenseman, but also they're gonna try to clear up some cap space to make it work. And guys to watch out for are Kulak, CC, Brown, and Warren Fogle was another guy that they mentioned that they wanted to potentially trade.
And Philip Broberg if they still want to move him because it was
Yeah,
talks about that
yeah,
early.
but I heard he was doing pretty well in the HL, so maybe, if there's a move that happens, maybe they might give him a shot heading into the playoffs or maybe even next season. So he's still fairly young, so we'll see what happens. But obviously, the player may need or may want a change of scenery, so that's always on the table as well. So yeah, so I like this deal for the Edmonton Oilers. The Ducks get assets, and Tampa Bay plays a minor role in this deal, and they get a little pick too. But would like to hear your thoughts on this deal, guys. Edmonton Oilers fans, Anaheim Duck fans, and Tampa Bay Lightning fans. I mean, there's really not much to really add in terms of your opinion in this deal, since they were a minor role players in this trade. But guys, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next episode of Young Guns Podcast. Thank you so much, guys, for watching.